Engage Burnham.
I'm your new wingman.
We will win! Because we have...
Welcome to CommLink.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the CommLink Podcast. I'm Stubb, and as always, I'm joined by the one, the only, Silvius. Hey man, how you doing?
What's up, dude? You got to stop hyping me up like that.
What? What do you mean? Just saying, hey, welcome to the show, you know.
We'll talk about it later. Anyway, what we got going on today?
Man, we've actually got quite a bit to talk about today, including like Overdrive is continuing in the PU right now. They've added the latest set of missions. We're also going to talk about some Evocati patch notes, creatures, right? Creatures confirmed. They've been teasing us about creatures for the past couple weeks now. And now we know they are in 323. So some good fun topics this week for sure.
Yeah, go ahead and take your hit of copium because we're going to be going on that ride with the creatures here in a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, and it feels good, baby. All right.
Gonna take you serious this week?
What? Everything's the same as always.
Totally normal. Totally
normal. All right. But yeah, before we dive into the topics, as always, quick shout out to everybody for tuning in, checking us out. Definitely appreciate all the recent subscribers the channel's been picking up lately. And for those of you listening over on Spotify, thank you as well. Be sure to go ahead and give us that 5-star review if you feel like we've earned it. And if not, maybe just don't review. I don't know. No, follow your heart. But anyway, so with all of that said, ready to talk some Overdrive?
Yeah. So we talked parts 1 and 2 last week after doing those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with the first set of missions being the data heist missions, and then the second set of missions being space combat, where we had to blow up some ships and then retrieve a chip that spawned out of them and drop those ships off.
Yep. And this most recent one started yesterday as of the recording of this. It was basically kind of like a mini Xeno threat battle, showed up. There's a couple of hammerheads, some medium size and light fighters. Everybody on the server can pick up the mission and head there. And I think after we finish it, I don't think I could take it again. So it seems like only people that haven't done it before can take the mission. This seems a little weird to me, but I mean, you can team up with somebody that has it and go there with them, though.
Yeah, you could jump to their point, right? But it's not a shareable mission,
right? Yeah. So after you do it, the first 5 times you have to complete it for credits towards the F7A token.
Right.
You can't pick it up in your contracts manager anymore or have anyone share it to you.
But you could still, jump to your buddy, show up with call to arms, and still partake in the fun.
Yeah, and it's typical. Blow up some hammerheads, a couple of ships, and I think there was like 20 some ships per mission. And once they're all gone, as long as you got a kill on one of them, you got credit. So
yes. So let's talk about like the actual gameplay session itself that we had. We attempted to do it with our buddy Raskva. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work out. He was experiencing some crashing. But once we finally did get to a point to where we were in our ships and ready to go, one problem that we ran into, not really a problem, but something that we bumped into was really quick turnaround times between accepting the mission and then the mission being completed, right? So if there was a large party getting to the mission site pretty quickly, there were a couple times where it felt like we had the mission for all of like 2 minutes, not even enough time to jump over there ourselves, and then the mission ending. But other than that, I found the new set of missions to be a lot of fun. Like you said, it's basically a smaller scale Xeno threat. Um, and
Yep.
to show up with your party, or you could show up solo and just sort of join in on the fun, um, was a blast. It was cool seeing a good number of other players around. Um, I felt like the AI was feeling pretty good. It felt fairly responsive. Some of those hammerheads, man, they were zooming.
Yeah.
They were definitely awake. So, a fairly large scale battle, and we got to do it, 5 different times. Um, I had a really, really good time with it. I ended up doing some of them in the Defender, um, and also the Cuddy Blue as well, and I think the Gladius. So, and what were you flying for these?
I was in the Ion, Ares Ion. And yeah, like you said, it was pretty fun. You don't get those larger battles very frequently in the PU right now. So that was fun to take part in. The
Yeah.
AI was okay. There was definitely some desync happening here and there.
Yeah.
On some of the like light fighters and stuff, I was having a hard time because they would, go forward and then suddenly come to a halt and then go forward again and then rubber band back. And that happened a couple of times, but um, I think that's, one of the things that is kind of like I'm enjoying these missions, don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but I don't know, on a scale of like 1 to 10, I would maybe give them a 5. If the AI was working like in the bunkers and stuff, and we actually had to have a team um come in there and like help us, like 4 or 5 people at least, and still had to put up a pretty good fight, I feel like that would have been a lot more enjoyable just having the AI working. But
Mhm.
that's just kind of how the PU is right now. But yeah, overall, how are you feeling about the missions?
I mean, relative to, typical Star Citizen standards, I think they've been really enjoyable. Yeah, the desync hasn't been um, without issue at times. The AI hasn't been the most responsive for sure. But at least the concept of the event, I like a ton, and actually playing the event in its current state, I still found enjoyable. I had a good time, you know, jumping around to
Yeah,
the different points and blowing up some ships and getting blown up on occasion myself.
I know this is, we're still in alpha, they're still developing and stuff, but I hope that in the future, these types of events, we see a little more effort put into the events. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I'm sure the developers that put these together worked hard on them and everything, but once we have, AI working as it should, and more intricate missions and stuff, like man, wouldn't it been be cool if like every major port you go to, you have like somebody there with like a stand, kind of like we saw with the pyro stuff, with the little flyers and stuff, like an
Yeah.
NPC standing there, like recruiting people to the CDF, and like the Xeno threat is here. We need more people, and like handing out flyers or whatever, sitting in the little booth. Maybe see more wounded people in the medical facilities and stuff. They have we know they can broadcast videos over like pretty much all of the screens in the major landing zones and space stations. Put together a little CDF video trying to recruit people or explaining the situation. Just
Yep.
um, the mission just, they feel a little disconnected sometimes, and
Well, and
they could have.
they're definitely repurposed versions of like missions that we already have, right? Like the first
Yeah,
set of Overdrive was straight up just the data heist missions again. Um the second set of missions was essentially an assassinate. It starts off with as an assassination mission, and then the second half of it's a delivery mission. That's all it
yeah.
is. And now with this third wave of missions, it's yeah, just a little squadron battle action essentially. So none of it's reinventing the wheel by any means, but I do like the packaging of it. I like that this is like I like the idea of an event that has multiple phases that goes on for weeks.
Yeah,
I do want to see
that is
more
a
of
good
that.
step.
But definitely
Absolutely.
let's start to see some different mission and quest types come online.
There's
And
just little things they could have done for each mission, like the
Mhm.
first one. Maybe so it's all around the F7C Mark II, F7A Mark II. make make it so Xenothreat has stolen a large amount of them, or
right,
stolen the plans to them, and that's what we're working to get back. So at the bunkers we went to, have them defended by a few F7Cs and F7A.
that'd be awesome.
Maybe park one nearby that you could steal or take for that session. Have some at the missions we just did the other day. It was typically just normal stuff, Cuddy Blacks, Vanguard Harbingers, Hammerheads. Throw in some of those new ships, and I don't know, add a little more narrative to it instead of just kind of like, I mean, there's, we get the Moby Glass updates with a little bit of story put in there, but yeah, I like these missions, but in the future, I just hope they just, hopefully this isn't 10, but if this is 10, hopefully next time they crank it up to 11, and just add those, a few more of those things to, I don't know, bring it all more together.
Well, and it could be said too, right? Like, this is first implementation of these missions. They can go back and reiterate and throw in some of the things like you just said. Like, I love the idea of showing up to the bunkers and a couple of those Hornets be there guarding them, and you have to actually go into combat with the Hornet at some point. That's a great idea, and it seems like something that would be feasible, right?
Right.
It could be that somebody just didn't think of that, and maybe they do go back in a future patch at some point, update it a bit.
Didn't have time or the manpower,
Yeah.
there's multiple reasons stuff like that probably hasn't been added, but yeah. And we've only seen half of the missions so far. This is
Right.
3 out of 6, so we don't know what's coming, exactly what's coming next, but we'll see. I'm having fun with them and going to keep doing them.
Yeah, and I think if nothing else, I'm happy that, like kind of like we were saying last week, it's nice to have something new pulling us back into the PU again, because
Yeah.
there for a while it kind of felt like we were maybe just gonna sit on the sidelines and wait for 323 before going back into PU, but it's got us back in, and we've had some pretty enjoyable sessions with it, so I'm happy for that.
And just as one last thought, those space battles, after the new patch with master modes, they could play out totally different, right?
Oh yeah.
So I'm really interested to see how those larger battles play out once we have those master mode mechanics.
Yeah, for sure. And hey, while these events are still going, I would love to try to get the Deemer fully crewed and check out some of these battles. I think that would be a lot of fun. We would have to go
Yeah.
into server chat and probably pick up a couple people, but yeah, I think we could do a lot of damage with a fully crewed Deemer.
For sure.
Sounds fun to me. All right, so that's been Overdrive up to this point. As they continue to add the new phases to the game, we'll continue to play through them and report back on that. But next up, I think we're going to talk a little bit about the lens and visor HUD. Inside Star Citizen episode went up this week. We don't have a whole lot to say on that, but maybe one or two things of notes, especially the shadow drop on some of those menus.
Yeah, we didn't do a reaction to that video this week, and there wasn't really, most of it looks really good. I'm pretty good with all the UI updates, the new Moby Glass apps and everything. The new buying stuff looks way simpler than what we have now. But yeah, just like you said, that drop shadow, like weird reflection you get that they put on there to make it look like it's displayed in front of a visor. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. It makes it hard to read at times, and I don't general consensus I've seen from most people has been they don't like it. So
Yeah, it just
um,
looks weirdly doubled and offset. I don't know. It almost looks like a bug or a glitch.
yeah, it kind of does. So and maybe it is. Well, that was an ISC, so hopefully they wouldn't show something like super bugged in ISC.
Right.
But yeah, hopefully that's something they can go back and revisit, because I think a lot of people are having trouble reading it because of that.
Yeah. And I think that's something too, like, it sounds like they're getting feedback already. And so hopefully once it's actually added to the game and they get even more feedback, hopefully they'll tweak that. Seems like it would be pretty doable. That's just a aesthetic choice. At the very least, give us a toggle if possible. If somebody really
Yeah.
does love it, I guess let them turn it on if they want to. But for the rest of us, yeah, let us toggle that off.
It's definitely an immersion type look, because it's definitely not there for readability or anything like that. So CIG loves their holograms and or like weird drop shadows like that. But yeah, I think most people aren't fans.
Well, if I were fully immersed, like actually in the verse, I think I'd be trying to find a mobiGlas that doesn't do that. I'd be looking for some different options.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Evocati. There's been quite a bit going on with Evocati lately.
Yeah, they just put out a patch yesterday. The most recent one, I think it's still running today.
Yeah, last night we weren't sure if it was gonna go or not, but I think what is like 8 or 9 o'clock p.m. our time. I think it finally went live.
It was a pretty late one, especially shout out to the CIG devs working over the holidays and stuff, trying to get this stuff out to us. And looking it's a better than the first Evo patch they had, that's for sure.
Right.
But as far as it looks like stability wise and everything, we might get it next week, but I'm not holding my breath. I think it might be another week or two before we see it hit wave 1.
I'm gonna hold it right now.
Put it out, Chris, hurry. He's gonna pass out. We gotta finish the episode.
We got
All
this.
right, he doesn't need oxygen. He's got copium.
That's right. That's right, baby. The dream lives. No. But yeah, I would love 323 PTU next week, but also not actually going to get my hopes all the way up on that.
Yeah, the biggest thing from the patch notes that I wanted to talk about, or at least kind of skim over a little bit, was all these FPS changes.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's like 2.5, almost 3 pages just of FPS changes.
Yeah, let's actually we might not hit every single one of these, but if you don't mind, I'll just kind of take it from the top here and we'll kind of touch on them one by one as we go.
Yeah, we don't have to hit all of them, but there are some pretty interesting and I guess major changes here.
You ready to talk scopes?
No. Not today.
Scopes and sights will no longer have blinding reflections on them. Optics now increase aim down sight time 15% for 1 times to 3 times. So 20% increase for 4 times. And then it says, however, 8 times and above remain the same due to being sniper exclusive with already long aim down sight times. Here it is. Scopes that are 8 times and above will have a glint visible to players when a scope is targeting them. And then, optic zoom is returned on multiple scopes. Armor will no longer block the player's vision when aiming down sights. That's actually, I will celebrate that bullet point. Armor no longer blocking when you're ADSing.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Thank the Lord. Thank you. But yeah, there's the currently infamous sniper glint in there. we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll test it.
Yeah.
We'll see,
Me too.
and we'll report back.
We'll give it a good shake. In fact, at the first moment I have it available, I'll stream it. You'll get live reactions over on Twitch.
Yeah, we can take I guess we won't have the Carrick on let's say we could take something with a med bay out and just go snipe at each other, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Let's see. Next up, we've got the attachment updates. Underbarrel laser pointer now decreased spread by 12.5%. This is one of those, like, if you're thinking about it, this one for sure breaks logic and immersion.
Why?
How does a laser decrease your spread? How does that have anything to do with spread?
Why? What happened to compensators? What do they do now? If I run a compensator and a laser pointer, do I just have no recoil?
What's happening to this game's FPS?
I don't know. Like, overall, I feel like it's taking a step in the right direction, but there's little things like this. Like, why decrease spread with the laser pointer? We're adding dynamic crosshair, which, that's a controversy all in itself. But I thought, the point of a laser pointer is, you don't have a combat helmet, so you throw a laser pointer on there, and then
exactly.
Voila, you know where you're hip firing at. Not, oh, I have this gun that, I would really like to decrease the spread on. Let me throw a laser pointer on there. What? How does that make sense?
If you can make it make sense, please let us know in the comments below.
I mean,
I've got nothing.
If it was a compensator, that should reduce recoil and spread. If it's having a brain fart, like forward attachment, like a handle, a foregrip, that can reduce spread and recoil. But a laser sight, come on, guys.
I don't get it.
Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, overall, I think I still like most of the FPS changes coming, but it's getting to the point of being more than just one or two little things. It's starting to add up a bit more in the pile of, I don't know how I feel about this one. And also in the pile of, that just straight up sounds bad. The laser pointer decreasing spread, that one just doesn't make sense. Whereas I would still say the sniping one just sounds bad. But anyway, they've also, they're making some keybind updates. Obviously, we're not going to read through all of those, but be aware, some changes incoming. Let's see. FPS combat. So the overall intention for many combat updates in 3.23 is that the player is slowed down in firefights when committing to a fight, but is still safe to retreat during a fight. You know me, I love slow firefights.
Don't we all?
God, it's thrilling. I always imagine when I'm fully immersed in my space adventures that all of my firefight engagements are going to be slow. I love all these new changes coming. CIG. Oh my God. All right. So adjustments have been made to make the overall experience more consistent. And remember, they just said above, they want it slowed down. So consistently slowed down. Weapons should no longer get stuck in the falling pose. That's good. Let's see. Force reactions have been adjusted. So FPS weapons will not cause staggers on any weapons. None of them. Some stuff in there about strafe values. Anything else here major? One thing that really sticks out to me here is naked damage multiplier on the player has been reduced by 50%. And then also bullets will no longer damage multiple body parts of a singular player, meaning if a shot went through the player's arms and chest, it would damage the same target twice. It will still damage two different players as expected. So players are going to be tougher to kill now. That's what that tells me, right? And we've kind of known
Sounds like
that
it, yeah.
anyway, but now we're getting some more like specific insight on how exactly they're tweaking that.
It's good that the equipment doesn't block stuff anymore.
Yeah, that is nice, but also to me though, at the same time, I would kind of still want it to kind of depend on what the equipment is. But
Yeah, if it's going through like a heavy backpack, there shouldn't be a lot of reduction, but
Right.
a little bit of reduction could be there. But as long as it's not completely stopping the bullets from hitting
Yeah.
the player.
versus if it's hitting a med pin on your hip or your leg or whatever, like yeah, it's going to go right through that thing and hit you. Yeah. But yeah, they also mentioned the majority of weapons are now going to feature the new iron sights. So we knew that was coming. There's new procedural ADS animations on all weapons. And they've said the various issues causing hit register issues have been fixed, which of course is good news if true. Ooh.
Spread fully removed from all ADS.
Yeah,
That's just something I'm going to have to play with and see how it feels.
that I don't completely understand. I guess now we know where the compensators went. You just don't need one.
If you ADS,
If you
I guess.
ADS, yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that's and all of these changes, right? We need to make sure that we actually do get hands-on time with before we know for sure what our solidified opinions are on these different changes. But wow, it's going to feel significantly different than it does now.
Yeah, and I think these are just the first initial changes. I think they're still looking at some more stuff, and we still don't have FPS scanning.
Mhm.
Sliding is supposed to be a thing. One thing I don't remember seeing in here was weapon jamming and wear and tear.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing that in the patch notes. I just skimmed through them again and not standing out to me. So I don't know if that's in or not, but
Yeah, I'm not
we'll have
seeing
to
that
see
listed either.
how that goes. Under the things you just read about, it's mainly just weapon balance changes for looks pretty much like every gun in the game.
Yeah. Shout out to the S38. Its damage increase is gonna be increased by 50%. Heck of a buff. The LH86 also getting a buff, the salvo getting a buff. The iron sight has been improved for the arc light, which is nice. Because currently it's not the best. I don't know how much you use the arc light. I like the pistol a lot, but I'm glad they're changing up that iron sight. Coda also getting a buff. The Uberev. Never been quite sure on how to say that gun's name, but getting a hell of a buff. Damage increased by 90%. Pretty big.
Some of the shotguns are getting a big buff too.
Yeah. You want to mention those real quick?
Yeah, the ER2,
Mhm.
150% damage increase.
Huge buff, yeah.
Shotgun spread reduced. Came down sights. Damage increased on the R97 by 33%.
Hey, if you're ADSing with the shotgun, is the spread of the shotgun also just reduced to 0?
There is a note in there about something with the shotguns and ADS.
Yeah, shotguns now when aiming down sight have a tighter spread. Okay.
How does that make sense?
For anybody who's ever fired a shotgun in real life, the shot, pellets.
It's talking about the spread of the pellets, right?
Yeah. How is that changed whether or not you're hip firing or ADSing?
Yeah, that wouldn't.
And does it get reduced even more if you've got a laser on your shotgun? Is this what Star Citizen is becoming?
Yeah, I don't.
Let us know in the comments below. I'm just
I
like
don't
this
understand
asking
that
that question.
Yeah. That's one of those. It's one of those on the list of not good.
And again, we're looking at this, on paper. I mean, technically on screens, but figuratively on paper. Maybe once we actually sit down and play it, ultimately at the end of the day, the biggest question is it fun? If we sit down with it and if all these changes are fun, then, I can overlook the logical side of, no, a laser shouldn't reduce spread. ADS should not reduce the spread of a shotgun. Like, it doesn't make sense. But hey, if it's a whole lot of fun to play, okay, because ultimately that's what I want. But we are veering way far and away from any of that talk of sim gameplay when it comes to FPS now.
Yeah, and I just scroll down to snipers. Snipers in general have a more drastic projectile drop. No sniper scopes are able to be auto-zeroed anymore. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need auto-zeroing. Thank you.
That's true.
Zeroing ranges have been adjusted on sites. Sounds good.
Can we just do other things that make sense with snipers?
Yeah. Take away the glint and give us like a hell of a muzzle flash.
Yeah.
When we fire.
For real.
Louder shots that go further. You can hear where they're coming from. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like some overall nerfs to most of the snipers.
Yeah. Even the increased ADS time, like, that makes sense to me.
Yep.
I still just, for the life of me, I cannot. I know some people are tired of hearing about it, but I can't wrap my hand around the glint. But maybe it'll be fun.
Like fire rate decrease, slight damage increase, more projectile drop. Those are all fine. Those are all good. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to play it and see how it plays, and we can sit here and read this all day and theory craft on it, but like you said, until we play it, we're not really gonna know what it feels like.
Yeah. Oh, special shout out to the railgun though. Even it's getting some changes. The explosion minimum radius has been increased from 0.75 meters to 5 meters. And the max radius increased from 2.5 meters to 8 meters. Damage has been increased from 5.5 to 10. But the damage to the ships remains the same. But still, even the railgun getting a little beefier.
That felt needed because you could smack people like straight in the chest with a railgun and they not die. But you can sit here and kill a Gladius in one hit with it. So that felt a little weird. So that was definitely needed.
Yeah, good change for sure. And grenades also getting a buff, right? Damage increased by 43%. And the minimum radius has been increased from 0.25 to 3. But the max radius has been decreased from 7 to 4.25. So
looks like they buffed the grenade launcher a little bit too, which that's one of those weapons they have to be careful with, because if they make that too powerful, anybody boarding a ship, you're gonna have to have a grenade launcher. They want to make shotguns and stuff more viable, but make a grenade launcher too strong, and every boarding party will have grenade launchers.
Right. So, it's a pretty decent list of bug fixes also, but obviously it's going to be a while before this thing is stable and ready for live PU anytime soon. But it's cool being able to go through and see these patch notes, because
Well,
these weren't always just openly out and available just a few weeks
well,
back.
they were out there and you could find them, but
Right.
technically they were considered a leak
Mhm.
until that change a few weeks ago where we could talk about the patch notes. We still can't, like, if anybody comes out and posts pictures and stuff of the Evo builds, we still can't share any of that really, but
Yeah. Like if there's a
patch notes and stuff.
picture of a dead creature,
Creatures,
Star
you
Citizen,
say?
floating around out there somewhere.
Creatures in Star Citizen, what?
I mean,
Tell me more.
I hear tell that there's going to be some creatures in 323 of the four-legged variety and also of the flying variety. Just rumors, you know.
Well, they're a little more than rumors, because in the patch
Are they?
notes, yeah, in the patch notes from yesterday, they included 2 new creatures.
Holy
Yep, looks like we have a Copion.
Yeah, I believe that's how you say that.
Do you want to read the description for it there?
Sure. Yeah, the Copian is a four-legged hound-like creature that resides in savanna, snow, desert, and cave biomes. This creature is not hostile when alone and will retreat to the nearest Copian if it exists. Although afraid of humanoids when alone, the Copian tends to roam in packs, which will cause the pack to become hostile to creatures they encounter, where they will use their sharp claws and teeth to do multiple melee attacks, which include biting and pouncing at their target.
Cool.
Sounds really cool. Um,
So that was the creature that we saw in that teaser in the cave
the cave
last week.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they're not only going to be in caves, they're going to be essentially everywhere on these planets.
I like that it's got some personality too, and that it talks about the creature is not hostile when it's alone, right? But if they're in a pack, then they may be hostile to humanoids. So I like that your interaction with these things is going to be dependent on the context of, is it a solo one or does it have buddies around? Obviously I've talked before on the show. I'm excited for creatures coming into the game. I know you're hyped for it as well. This thing looks pretty cool. Like, we can't put it up on the screen, but it looks pretty cool.
I guess we can, because there's I don't have it ready here on OBS, but they did put a teaser out on Instagram and their other socials.
That's true. I forgot about that.
The Copian walking out of the cave, and then the other creature, the Maroc, flying bird type creature. It showed both of them in the little teaser they put out. So if you want to know what they look like, there are some teasers out there on the Star Citizen socials.
I was thinking specifically of that picture of the dead one when I said that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you're right, there is official imagery out there already.
But yeah, the other one they have is the bird, the Maroc. It's a bird-like creature with a long beak and bat-like wings, part of the Boyd family with flocking behavior. They're not hostile to humanoids, and their flocks will disperse when approached. They're native to savannas, snow, desert, and cave biomes, and come in multiple feature colors that suit their environments. So it sounds like they can be everywhere too.
Yeah, and I like that it says that they can be found in caves, because that means that potentially, the unexpected explorer could be surprised by just a huge flock of these things flying out of a cave before entering to do his exploration or mission or whatever.
That would be cool.
dynamic moments like that would be a lot of fun, um and it says that they're friendly, right? They're not hostile to humanoids. But how cool would it be, like, if they still had, like, something like, say, if you're eating a burrito or a hot dog outside, and one of these things comes flying by trying to take it from you, right?
That would be cool.
Little
Yeah,
interactions like that would be a lot of fun.
it
And
was hard to tell from the teaser how big they are.
yeah,
Um, but it kind of looks like a pterodactyl, like a small pterodactyl mixed with a pelican.
hmm
And then the Copian kind of looks like a big cat with a horn on the top of its head and its chin, and like 4 eyes. So, yeah, if anybody listening now is curious about them, go check out those teasers. They look pretty cool, especially for the first iteration of creatures. And I wonder if these are the only 2 we're gonna get for this patch, or if they're hiding some in there.
I'm going to guess that these are the only 2, but I will say I think that once these are in 323, and that's on live PU, I think we'll probably get more of these on a fairly regular basis going forward in each update.
Yeah, because we already know about the Yeti, right?
Mhm.
And the crabs and pyro.
Yep.
And I think
Sandworm.
I think in one of the monthly reports they mentioned a webhound, maybe.
Mhm. Yep.
Something like that. So we know there's a couple they're working on. And the space cows, obviously.
And
the
the
storm
wells.
walls. Yep, storm walls in Orison. So, man, it would be cool if they slipped them in there, and then somebody taking off from Orison for the first time just sees one kind of flying through the clouds. I'm like, oh shit, they put those in too. So that would be cool, but I think it's kind of hard for them to sneak anything past most people.
Yeah. No, I could see them like say next IAE or something at Orison, have some big event happening at Orison, and then
Yeah, that would be cool.
yeah, boom, base cows. One day, and I think that day's getting a whole lot closer than maybe it seemed, in just the prior few months, right?
Yeah, I mean, these weren't even a card on the roadmap, right?
No, yeah. So yeah, pretty excited for those. We're gonna get some hunting missions with them, right? But I do hope that as time goes on, we get a bit more functionality with these things. It'd be cool if you could tame one. If they have like infant ones or like baby ones in game that you could domesticate and have hang out on your ship with you. It'd be really cool if they could actually like partake in combat, especially the Copian. That thing looks like it could do a lot of damage to you. Imagine being able to sick one on a bounty that you're chasing down or something, right? But even if they don't go and give combat to these things, player controlled combat, it'd still be cool just to have one in your personal hangar on your ship as a pet. I want
Yeah,
to.
so
I want a pet companion in game. Is that so much to ask for in this MMO, Chris? Is it so much to ask for? It was part of the stretch goals.
Yeah, I mean, you've played a lot of Star Wars Galaxies, where I think you were talked about being an animal tamer a lot, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So this is definitely something that I know you're personally looking forward to, and yeah, it's really, we finally are getting the first creatures in the games. We know pets are in the stretch goal, so yeah, how far can they take creatures as a gameplay loop?
Yeah. Like
We're gonna
when I think about my what my long-term personal Star Citizen dream is, it would be able to go from system to system, finding all sorts of different fauna out there of all sorts of different variety, and being able to um, tame them, domesticate them, sell them to other players as pets or as companions. Um, Again, possibly, ideally, in a combat role as well, if possible, or even as a mount, right? I'm not sure exactly how big that copion is, but it looks like if you made one friendly to, it looks like you could probably saddle that thing up and go for a ride, right? Um, you know, um, I don't know. I want to be able to do all those things, and then of course also be able to hunt creatures and to be able to extract resources from those creatures and be able to sell those to people to use in crafting, either different armors or clothing items or whatever it is that they're using those resources for. Like, I think I want my sort of big end game, or at least part of it, be just going out, exploring, and interacting with the wildlife and making my money that way.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about it now when they're first putting the first two creatures in, and we've had bounty hunting for years and still haven't got version 2 of it yet. But yeah, I mean, if we could have it, in a perfect world or perfect game, whatever, that would probably be one of my like end goal games too. They could.
I want a zoo on my merchant man.
Yeah, we're gonna have crafting, and I think that's one of the goals for Star Citizen 1.0 that they've kind of hinted at is having like a decent crafting. So they could tie a lot of different recipes back to certain animal parts that you could go hunt and collect. We could talk about animal husbandry, being able to have farms or whatever and raise juveniles and then sell them to other people or use them for crafting materials. So, are we going to be able to build pins at our base and raise more of certain types of animals? And yeah, like you said, we could have domesticating certain ones from juveniles. The web hound, I think that we've mentioned, there's some concept art out there of a big, kind of cat-like looking predator, and has a like person's silhouette next to it, and the person like doesn't even come like halfway up to its shoulders.
Wow.
So there's going to be bigger animals out there that we could, maybe tame and have as mounts, like you said. Maybe there's really dangerous ones that you can't domesticate, but you could still, if you want to be one of those collectors or whatever, you can put them in a cage and have them to display or whatever.
Or hey, maybe they're an invasive species somewhere. Like some people were exporting them from one planet to some other place, and their ship crashed, and a whole bunch of them got loose and introduced into the wildlife, and everything's going to hell since then. And so now there's bounties out for those creatures, right, to try to get things back to normal in that ecosystem. There's all sorts of different things that you could do with creatures in the game now.
Or the opposite of that, you could have, in a really high secure system like Terra, you could have a certain animal that's endangered, but they maybe have some really valuable resource that you can get from them. So there's people going there and trying to poach them. You have to go and stop the poachers, or you can be the poachers. So I mean, there's creatures. I think when a lot of people think of them, they're like, oh, kind of add some wildlife to the planets. I can kill them, and that's about it. They'll be there and add some immersion. But man, it's one small thing that they could take in so many different directions. So yeah, pets, mounts, different. I think there's probably going to be missions to go eliminate nest of them in caves or something like that. But as a first implementation, that's fine. That's pretty much what I expected. But man, I hope creature handling, creature hunting, creature husbandry, like all of that, I hope we get it down the road, and I hope that's the direction they take it.
God, that's for sure part of my Star Citizen dream. Absolutely. Um, and I'm also excited because, by default, it's also going to help just make the game feel more alive and more vibrant. Finally having some wildlife around, whether it's friendly or hostile or otherwise. Um, because those planets and moons, they've been barren for a long time. Outside of the occasional NPC and player, it's gonna be nice to see things fly around and run through fields and encounter in caves. I'm excited
Yeah.
for it.
And, just having, I don't want to get greedy here, but these two are going to add just a lot for the most part. But, we need everything from like, small mammals to, big whatever mammoths, giant crabs. We need a large variety of creatures in the game to, kind of make it feel more real, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess not all planets need it. You can argue that like Microtech was um, they changed the climate there, from whatever, and there's probably not as many animals on there because of that. But yeah,
There should be some picos. Where are the
that's
picos
right.
at?
Yeah. So yeah, I hope maybe one of their teams coming over from Squadron is gonna start just cranking out some creatures and maybe adding some more gameplay opportunities to them.
Yeah. Oh my god, could you imagine an outpost is being attacked by snow yetis? You got to come defend the place.
That would be sick. Would be sick.
Like, and it's doable. It's doable.
Yeah. Especially with base building and stuff coming in, you build a
Yeah.
little farm and you take off in your merchantman, you go cruising for a week or two, and then you come back to your farm and you got some new creatures for it and you start raising some new ones, and a week later you go park your merchantman at major spaceport with all your new creatures and sell some of them. And I'm getting fucked up on this copium right now. We gotta
Right?
stop. We gotta stop.
Like, I feel like CIG. I hope they are fully aware of how exciting these features really can be, and
Yeah.
that it can all work and make total sense within Star Citizen. Um, and if they really, if they take full advantage of that, it creates so many new opportunities for both PvE and PvP gameplay.
Yeah.
So
My biggest worry is they just, throw them in as, hey, they're there. You can go kill them
yeah,
and, grab a horn off the copium, and you can craft some stuff with it, but it's not that important. So, I just hope they don't, go that route with it. I hope they actually add some cool gameplay here with them.
they could even do cargo missions with them. You got to haul some space sheep from one system to another. So, you go to land your C2 at some farm, put the ramp down, and there's a bunch of space sheep being loaded up, herded into your ship, and then, off to the next system. Like,
You got to hire somebody to clean all the shit out.
Ye-
So,
yes. Yeah, there's your engineering gameplay, right?
yeah.
Grab a broom.
We can just stick the Roomba down there.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, that's about it for creatures for me at the moment. You have anything else on them?
No, that's pretty much it. I'm excited for him, and hope CIG, you're listening. I hope you are, and just add some cool gameplay with them. That's all we ask.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad that we're getting them so soon in 323. I really did think that Fauna was still at the very least like not until after 4.0, because it hadn't really, like you said, it hadn't really been put on any cards until very recently. Like, we knew it's something they wanted to do eventually. They told us that and teased us a bit with the space cows and the wells, of course, right? But it's actually maybe potentially we're just days or weeks away from being able to see some in person for ourselves, like some
Yeah,
people in Evocadia have already been able to.
I'm excited.
Yeah, 100%. All right, man. Anything else for this week?
I think that's all I'm gonna run my mouth about today.
Yep, yep. Obviously, with the holidays coming up, there's not a Star Citizen Live this week. So things have been kind of quiet from CIG as far as from Jared this week. Specifically, there is that Inside Star Citizen, touching on the visor and the lens. But yeah, it's holiday time, so things are a little bit quiet right now. I think that's going to be it for us this week. I had a lot of fun as always. Those creatures definitely hyped for some of those FPS changes. Really excited for some of them. Definitely not very excited for. It's an interesting time to be following Star Citizen right now. It's definitely a season of change. 323. So
Oh yeah, and hopefully we get our hands on it maybe next week. I hope.
fingers crossed for that PTU. Not holding my breath for real, but it's a possibility. We'll see what happens. All right,
All
everybody.
right, man.
Silvius, thank you as always. This was a fun one.
Hey man, let's get out of here so you can go beat up whoever stole your clothes and get them back.
That's right. Coming for you. I'm also on the way. Thanks for tuning into the CommLink Podcast. We post a new episode weekly on both Spotify and YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, if you would go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe, hit the bell so that you get notifications for all future episodes. If you're listening over on Spotify, hey, how you doing? I listen on Spotify sometimes too to make sure the audio's checking, sounding pretty good. You know, you got to check it, double back on things, and convenient. Love the Spotify app. Anyway, thank you for checking us out over there. We've been seeing a fair amount of growth, which has been really exciting. So we want to make sure that we give our Spotify listeners some love as well. Make sure that you go ahead and give us a 5-star review if you don't mind. That helps us with the Spotify algorithm. Everything is algorithms these days. You guys hear it on every podcast. It's just, it's one of those things. We got to play the game, right? So if you would help us out with the engagement on the Spotify side of things. In addition to the CommLink Podcast, we also have the CommLink Alert, where major articles published by Cloud Imperium Games on the Star Citizen website are read aloud. It's essentially an audiobook version of things like monthly reports, letter from the chairman, ship Q&As, articles like that. And we also have CommLink Reacts, where we react to Star Citizen and Squadron 42 content, primarily inside Star Citizen and Star Citizen Live. Not every episode, but a lot of them. And then we have also been going back into the vault and checking out some older Squadron 42 content, which we should do again here soon, because that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we need to get back into that.
Yeah, for sure. So let's do that soon. But yeah, in the meantime, thanks everybody for listening as always, whether on YouTube or Spotify. We appreciate the hell out of you. We've been having a lot of fun doing these. Yeah, CommLink has been really, really fun to do, whether it's the podcast, whether it's the alert, whether it's the react, and being able to interact with people down in the comments section has been a good time as well. So let us know about your thoughts on the FPS changes coming to 323, the Moby-Glass changes coming to 323, any of it and all of it. There's still so much more to talk about when it comes to 323 as we get more information. So stay tuned.
Yeah, let us know what you want to see with creatures too.
Yes.
What kind of gameplay do you want to see around them? So let us know below, and we'll see you all here again next week.
Stay safe and be well. See you in the next one.
See ya.